What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you tuned into Eye on Las Vegas, one of the most upbeat, interesting podcasts in the entire world. And today, your world is going to be rocked with goodness. We're going to be talking about something very dear to my heart with a remarkably wonderful person who's going to show us really what's happening in the United States and throughout the world when it comes to real people, real work and labor and doing the right thing in life. So here we are in Las Vegas. Let me tell you two quick things about Las Vegas. Everybody in the world has heard about Las Vegas. Here's what you may not be aware of. If you take the population, the entire population of greater New York, entire population of greater Chicago, entire population of greater Los Angeles, almost 41 million people. That's how many people come to and through Las Vegas every single year. That's amazing. What's even more amazing is there are only 2.8 million people in the entire Las Vegas metro area. So you got almost 14 times the population coming through here every single year. And they all stay in hotels and they stay at places that get serviced by other human beings. And now we're going to talk to, I'm happy to tell you, the Secretary Treasurer, currently former president of the Culinary Union 226, that makes everything happen in Las Vegas, makes it so your stay is wonderful, and makes sure that they still can have a wonderful working environment. Please say hello to the amazing, wonderful Ted Pappageorge. Ted, say hello to 402,826 people around the world.
Well, I'm going to say hello to all those people and also to you, Barry. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Ted. So I'm going to give a few just brief points about Ted Pappageorge. Good guy. He's been in the world of the union for decades. As I said, he's the Secretary Treasurer. Currently, he was the president before. And the Culinary Workers Union Local 226 in Las Vegas here is the largest union in Nevada. Over 60,000 members. Now, let's just put that into an orientation or something, because when you come to Las Vegas, you want to know how many rooms there are in Las Vegas? 156,100. That's a lot of rooms. And some people have to clean them, take care of them, be involved with them, and give food and service and all kinds of things. And that's all done by plus minus 60,000 people who make everything work. Without these people, there is no Las Vegas. I mean, that's just simple to say. And yet, let's be blunt, you have two major forces at play here, and Ted's going to tell us about what those forces are. One is the owners, and the other is the workers. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody would sing Kumbaya and get along and just make sure it all works well? Well, that's just not real life. And I got to tell everybody, I'm going to ask Ted to speak now about this significant win he just had. And the reason I wanted to speak about it, because it just happened literally a couple of days ago. We're now in August 22nd, 2024. You may be watching this 100 years from now and say, oh, yeah, that was a great thing. But Ted just finished the negotiations with a contract that took almost more than 2 decades to negotiate. And
Absolutely.
He'll tell us about it. So tell us about the significant win and what it means for workers. What really does this mean? It's not just about higher wages. What is it really about?
Well, it means much, much more. And again, I want to just tell you, thank you so much for having me on. This is very emotional for us. And the Venetian was owned by a gentleman named Sheldon Adelson, who was extremely conservative, extremely anti-union. And for example, we had major arrests because he believed we didn't have the right even to walk on the sidewalk outside the casino John Lewis, Congressman John Lewis, came and led us in several of those. But we have a different view of things. We play the long game. We still are very focused on growing, because you got to be big in order to have power to deal with these massive corporations. And then, Adelson passed away. The family sold, and a massive private equity fund, Apollo, purchased them, which, you may be familiar with here in Vegas. They were the ones that bought Caesars Entertainment. And then when Caesars went into bankruptcy during the Great Recession, that was Apollo's were the owners. But we were able to sit down and bang away at Apollo and get a neutrality agreement. And I can talk all day about that, because, for example, we're having this big fight at Stations Casinos where they will not agree to sit down and bargain what the workers want. Apollo agreed to do that. But we still had 25 years almost of non-union, activity going on there, and basic bedrock stuff like seniority, bidding, promotional bidding, classification bidding, just how the benefits and work and having a grievance procedure and real representation just didn't exist. So we started bargaining officially in February. After almost 80% of the workers signed up on cards. We brought in an arbitrator per the neutrality agreement. The arbitrator counted the cards, and that granted us union recognition. No massive long-term fight, no labor board elections, which, they're like having elections in Russia. Unfortunately, there's a lot of well-meaning people at the NLRB, but there's no penalties really for companies on those. It's very difficult. And then we were able to finish up Monday. We started
again. This is a bravo. I want to tell everybody what we're talking about here. We're really talking about a living wage for families. And I'm going to make a quote that I read, and it's either from you or a representative. This is about making workers' voices heard, respected, and protected. So I emphasize that because it's not just the money. I mean, let's be blunt. Money is a foundational aspect. It's as much about respect, protection, workers' rights, the ability to know that I am thought of as a human being, not another marker in your ledger for making profit and such. Is that fair to say, Ted? Isn't that wonderful? One of the wonderful things about what the union does?
No, absolutely. Look, money's important. People have to pay their bills and take care of their families. But, in benefits, healthcare is number one, and people are getting creamed with healthcare, and we're doing great work on that. But look, at the end of the day, when you're organizing workers, the number one issue is job security. And these hotels get bought and sold all the time. And, in a non-union place, you can be fired, and a lot of them just fire everybody and make you reapply. So you can get $10 an hour wage increase, but if you're not able to come to work tomorrow because you don't have any job security, it doesn't matter. So we have a full job security package in addition to, the best wages and benefits, and workers will fight for that. And they understand that.
So this is really, let me unpack a couple of things here. And I've done my research on this. Average wage at the union is $21 an hour. Now, that's a good wage. However, when you couple it with the other benefits that come with being in a union, like you said, job security, a pension fund, the ability, and again, the beautiful thing about Las Vegas, because you're a Vegas resident for your life, I'm just here a few years. It's a great way of life. It's a wonderful place to raise a family because it doesn't have the same cost infrastructure as a Los Angeles or Chicago or New York and such like that, where people can't afford to live. I mean, literally. Here you can afford to live, you can work, but you throw in, like you said, job security. So let us understand what it really means for you when you say play the long game. I'm going to tell people there are 179 unions in the Las Vegas metro area. So it's not just that Ted represents another union. This is the biggest union in the entire state. This is a massive undertaking to really coalesce people around the idea, like you said, hourly wage, job security, pension fund, etc. So let's talk about those things that are really significant to people.
Well, first, I just want to tell you, when you talk about playing the long game, look, since 1989, with the opening of the Mirage, we've organized 33,000 workers through now. And it's a key thing, and you'll hear me reference this. We've made a decision to go after companies, and if we have to have a big fight, we're going to have a big fight. And we use the labor board to try to protect workers. And we've gotten protections increased under the Biden administration. But you can't beat companies that way, and we have to go after them, and we call it a comprehensive campaign, and we get to a neutrality agreement, and that's, again, a whole nother kind of a conversation. But we say, look, if you can sign on the dotted line to buy a house, you can sign on the dotted line to buy a car, you can sign on a dotted line to say, I want the union to represent me, and you shouldn't have to be run through a ringer with attacks, terminations, threats, bribery, which is what goes on a regular basis in an NLRB union election. And there's no way to stop that right now. So the idea of growing over the long term gives you power. And with that power, we're able to then put together a package on the table. I want to highlight one thing. We have a quiz for folks, and we say, what's the most expensive thing in your union contract? And everybody says, oh, wages, healthcare. Say, no, it's the guaranteed work week. In a non-union place, they can send people home. You can show up and you're sent home tomorrow or in an hour, and without seniority, they can decide who they want to send home. So if you've been working there 20 years, but the manager hired their nephew, you're going home and the nephew's going to stay. So the guaranteed work week, where most of our non-tip workers are guaranteed 5 8-hour shifts, most of our non-tips are guaranteed 5 6-hour shifts, which gets you your benefits. They can work you more, but there's a guarantee, and there's all sorts of rules that go into that. Then there's the second quiz. Okay, that's the most important one. That's the most expensive piece of a contract. What's the most important part in your contract? And we have our negotiating committees. For example, we had 140 line level leaders that will be shop stewards. They're on a negotiating committee. They were in those negotiations every time. They take off work. They don't get paid. They sacrifice because they want to get a great contract. And we ask them that. And they say, okay, the most important one. And they, again, seniority, grievance procedure, healthcare, pension. We say, no, it's ownership and successorship language. Companies are bought and sold left and right. And a standard process is, especially in an at-will state like Nevada, doesn't have a lot of regulations on terminating people, is that you can be fired and out the door. Our contract says that if this company sells, they have to get an agreement from the new company to assume the union contract, or they can't sell. And that means they assume your contract, they assume you, they assume your wages, your benefits, your rights, your seniority, everything. And that changes people's lives because, we have to say, okay, what got sold recently? The Rio, the Tropicana, the Mirage, Caesars Entertainment got sold again 2 years ago.
And they seem to get bought and sold every 5 years.
Well, not only that, but here's the thing, Barry, they don't even own what they're saying. They don't own the land or buildings anymore. They're all management companies. MGM is a renter. The Bellagio rents the building. They've sold their building and land to what a REIT, a real estate investment trust. And there are these creations to be able to essentially put another barrier between workers and the money. And so the non-gaming hotel world did this long ago, the Hiltons, the Marriotts of the world. And now gaming is into it. There's only a few owners out there that actually still own their land and their building. The Wynn, they do. Mr. Ruffin over at the Treasure Island. Other than that, MGM, Caesars, and the rest of them have went into what they call these REITs, where they're all management companies. So there's all these reasons for workers to be walking on eggshells, and our union contract takes that into account. And when we're going on strike, it's going to be about ownership and successorship. It's going to be about guaranteed work week. It's going to be about seniority, in addition to, if the companies, their profits are through the roof, we need a record contract. And
okay, this is so wonderful. Let me put you on pause for a moment. I want to unpack something.
It's hard. I don't go on pause easy, Barry.
No, we're going to come back. We actually have sponsors that love the show, and we wouldn't have them on if we didn't think you'd be worthy of your time and attention. This is less than a minute. We're going to come back with Ted Pappageorge because this is more than just, hey, interesting. This is life. This is real life for tens of thousands of people, and not just here, but throughout the country. So, Ted, we love you. Be right back. Don't go away, everybody, after this brief message. This is wonderful.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good looking, so I was looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Ted Pappageorge. He's the current secretary-treasurer of the Culinary Union 226, representing 60,000 hard-working people, which represents, by the way, another 3 times that much, almost 200,000 people, because everybody's family. And the ability for people to have, as he pointed out to us, job security, not just earning $21 an hour. That's a great thing. Job security, seniority, a pension fund, the ability for the union to get together and to speak to the behemoth, which is often a faceless, like you said, just a management company, and now bring some humanity into the process. So, Ted, I love this for so many reasons. On a very personal level, because I mentioned to you before we went on, my father's blue collar, worked 2 jobs to support a family. Thank God, a wife and 3 kids. We know what it means to work hard. People are not afraid of working hard. Nobody begrudges working hard. What we begrudge is the ability, like you said, to just shunt aside people because, hey, new owner come in, that's the end of it, go by. That's not the right way to deal with people in America. In America. And the reason we came together is because of Batya Ungar-Sargon and her book, her amazing book, by the way, Second Class, how the American dream is not being fulfilled for the workers of America. And it's a lot of this has to do, as you said, because of the faceless aspect of the business and not being able to put humanity into it. So let's just go back. I want to make mention again to people. We're talking about union members. Who are union members? Guest room attendants, cocktail and food service, porters, bellmen, cooks, bartenders, laundry, kitchen workers, all the people that make Las Vegas so much fun when you come here. Without them, there ain't no Las Vegas. It's an empty desert. So this is why it's so important what you're doing, Ted. As I told everybody, I told everybody, you're a madman. MAD stands for make a difference. So let's talk about making a difference. I love the fact you talk about the long game. Talk to us from your perspective, because you've been involved with unions. I think it goes back almost to about 1982 or something like that. So that's 40 plus years, Ted. I mean, hello. Yeah. You know, you started when you were 15. Tell us
I actually was 15 when I first started. That doesn't count.
Okay.
I worked in the Sands garden room as a busboy when I was 15 back in the day. But then I did a few other things and got back into the hotels when I was 22. So, yeah, it's been 42 years as a union member.
So tell us from the gut level of what the union means to people. What does the union mean?
Well, look, I guess for me to be able to talk about that, I want to just talk about examples, because look, the idea of having job security, to know that you can take care of your family, that you can one day hope to own a home, that you can, retire in dignity, not worry about being homeless. But I have a couple of examples. I mean, we've had huge successes. We've worked very hard, and we believe you only beat these companies if you just work harder than them. They're 24/7, and you have to do the same thing. So we've got to be able to put in the effort and make the sacrifice to beat these companies. But look, right now we have a very difficult negotiation with the Virgin Hotel. And they are the last remaining one of this contract cycle that did not agree to a contract. And I think we're going to be on strike probably soon, unfortunately. But look, what we've told that company, because they said, well, we're not making the money like all the other ones. We're restructuring. We think, oh, that's great. You brought $1 billion to Las Vegas to buy and remodel the Virgin. But everywhere else in the country, these big private equity funds and Wall Street banks, they don't have to worry about the workers. They just run them over. That's not the way it is here in Vegas. So if you're going to bring $1 billion to remodel the Virgin Hotel, you better bring some money for the workers. And their proposal is no wage increases for the next 3 years after workers have got hammered.
I want to interrupt you for something because I want to emphasize it again. And I love what you just said. You can raise $1 billion, which is not chump change, let's be blunt.
Yeah.
For remodeling, you must factor in the people who are going to enable you to make your hotel, your resort, your remodeled place function and make you much more money. You must consider the workers. That's what you're saying. And if they don't do that, they're missing out under the mindset.
We're saying that. The workers are saying that. The company has made what they call a last and final offer. 80% of the workers signed a petition rejecting it. But that offer is no wage increases for the first 3 years, and then a back to the table reopener with no guarantee of any wage increases the last 2 years. Meanwhile, properties like the Westgate, the Stratosphere, the Rio, other second tier, no detriment intended, but that's their where they're at, have agreed to the contract that the Virgin won't agree to. So, but those workers are strong. They're going to fight. And I think we may have a strike at that property. And then again, going back to your question about what does this mean to workers? Well, for 15 years, we have been fighting at Stations casinos. Majority of workers signed up. Company said they would honor the workers' right to bargain if they only agreed to a secret ballot NLRB election. So I said, fine, we did that. We won all of them, except a couple of them where the company broke the law so much that they have become the worst labor lawbreaker in Nevada history. And we are entering into a trial that is the largest labor trial in the last 30 years in the entire country for Stations casinos. And they have done something that is called this. They created, after the pandemic, a MUD list. They call it MUD, management, union, or don't know. And they determined who they brought back from the pandemic by executives looking at this list. And if you sympathize with management, you came back to work. If you're a union sympathizer, you didn't. Now,
wait a minute, that sounds illegal in America.
It is. And stupidly, they actually passed emails and text messages about it. And when we were in trial through discovery, this all came out. So this trial, the new point of this trial, there are 39 days of trial scheduled from August to December, end of December. And the Fertitta brothers, the super rich billionaires that both own matching super yachts, 300-foot super yachts. One's in the Mediterranean, one's over in Cali. They are going to be required to testify. Now, their lawyers put a motion through saying that they didn't have to testify. They lost. And this is rolling into some real consequences, financial consequences, because they'll get in contempt and then it'll come out of the NLRB court system and into district court.
So let me pause and unpack something again.
Yeah.
For you, because you live and breathe it, and people are listening, and I think their jaws are dropping and they're leaning in. And this is wonderful. Everything you need to know about Ted and the union, you just go to the show notes below or go to my website, barryshore.com, because this is really important stuff. It doesn't matter if you're involved with the union, or it doesn't matter if you live in America. These things are important to hear. I'm going to ask a naive question. Ready? Station casinos and all the other casinos, they're all making money. It's not as if they're losing money and they say, hey, we can't pay workers. That's not the case. They're making money. They just They want to keep more, and they think, I'm saying that they see workers as expendable. And I think the genius of the union is saying, we're not expendable. We are essential to your benefit. Wake up and smell the coffee. Is that fair to say?
No, that's fair to say. And look, the idea is that workers just deserve a piece of the pie. We don't want the pie. You can have the pie. As a matter of fact, we want you to have the biggest pie you can make. We want these companies to crush it and be super successful, because
Right.
if they're not making money, then we certainly can't. But the difference is some companies, because we've got partnerships, long partnerships, and now the very last non-union on the strip, Venetian, owned by Apollo, has jumped into a beautiful partnership. But these rich, super rich folks like the Fertittas, they got to keep those super yachts humming. And so their whole perspective is, no, we're not going to share the pie with the workers. And look, that's just not something that's going to fly. So we started this whole segment about, we look at time differently. We look at the long game here. We're going to beat the Fertittas. Those workers are going to have the right to have a union. The Fertittas don't want their workers to have the right to have a union. That's it. And they'll use the system and delay and appeal as long as they can. And but we're a big union, and where maybe other unions have to walk away, we're never going to do that. And we're going to win, and those workers are going to win. It's just a matter of time. But there is a moment, and the reason that's why when you ask me, what does it really mean? What does it mean for workers to have a union? It also means you're not alone. You know, it means in this kind of me first culture that's out there, kind of a me culture. Yeah, you've got to make sure that you take care of yourself and your family. You've got to make that happen. You got to get up and, punch the clock every day and get your kids off to school, get to work, get home, get your kids, get them fed, make sure you get up the next day. The difference is in a union, you do it together. It's strong leaders taking care of themselves together. And I think I'll just say this, I think it has deep meaning to that. The idea that you're not alone in this world. And I think that, we bring that to the table as labor and workers. It's a tough world out there, but, these companies are doing well. The economy is crushing it, and maybe one last thing, I don't know where we're at on time, but this idea of where we're at, the economy was crushed in Vegas. We credit President Joe Biden and the Vice President Harris for saving our jobs and bringing back this economy. But the price of food, gas, and housing are way too high. We know we got to take on these giant price gouging corporations. Well, that's labor's job too. That's our job, because when companies are out of whack, profit margins through the roof, and the regular person can't make it or can't afford to buy a home, we got to take that on. So we do our political work, we do our bargaining and organizing, and, we're going to fight. And the last thing is that you got to fight. You got to be willing to stand up and fight. You're not going to win them all. You're going to lose some of them, as a matter of fact, but you got to be willing to stand up and fight. And we are a fighting union, and that's what we believe in.
You can't scare me. I'm working for the union. Working for the union. Remember that song?
Oh, yeah. We got it on our playlist, Barry.
Oh, very good. Okay. Well, I'm loath to say these words, Ted, but we're at the close of our time together for this one. I have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready?
Sure.
Number 1, will you come back again?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime, Barry. It's a privilege.
Thank you. Number 2, you have 80 seconds to answer this. I think I even know what you're going to say, but I'd rather hear it from you. Ted Pappageorge, what is your most fervent desire?
Well, I have to tell you that, of course, I have a wonderful family, and I'm very proud of my kids and my wife. And, that is my life's goal, to be a good father and a good husband. But I have to tell you that we're just on the cusp of moving the union movement and growing. We've got to get big. The union movement's got to grow and organize, and we've got an opportunity here. We got to take it.
And he's a madman. He's going to make it happen, because MAD stands for make a difference. And number 3 question, may I give you a hug in front of 411,822 people around the world?
I'm all about hugs. I'm a
Okay,
hug.
let me tell you what HUG stands for. Ready?
Okay. All right. I thought you
Heartfelt, unlimited giving. You hear that? Heartfelt, unlimited giving. That's what HUG is. 1, 2, 3. And you've been listening to Eye on Las Vegas. We don't host Barry Shore, an amazing Ted Pappageorge, talking about the power and the purpose and the positive, pleasant aspect of the union and how it really does make a difference for real human beings. Favor the union. And our blessing from Ted and Barry is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Ted, don't go away.